Told you I lied in my first and second trial to save myself.
Well, let's get to the second trial. Just like you're lying here to save yourself, right?
I'm not saving myself. I'm telling the truth this time.
Right, because now, all of a sudden, after 8 years, you have developed a conscience. I think that's what you told the jury.
No, it's because the father of my children was on death penalty at that time on my first trial, so I couldn't give up. If it was just Charlie, like I said from the trial, go ahead and arrest him. Nobody ever did.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay, how is everybody? Wanted to talk to you today about Katherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia, who paid for their lawyers. Was it paid by the Adelson family money? And this is something that's been a little bit of an obsession for me in this case. I've talked about it quite a bit. And I wanted to go over a few things, go over one legal filing that I believe I've gone over before. And I also want to go over a wiretap that was featured on Fancy Fiction's channel with Katie and her lawyer. And it seems to me, and go over sort of the pattern in this case of lawyering up, encouraging Katie not to talk. And it seems to be the idea that if we all have good enough lawyers and if we all don't talk, then they don't have anything on us. And that was the message. If you've heard the Dolce Vita tapes, that's the message in that tape. And I think that it really did no favors to Katherine Magbanua. And I'm wondering if anybody's heard her proffers, excuse me. They were so small in offerings of information. I think that's the best way to put it. And why is she holding back? Does she feel that she owes the Adelson family something for possibly? This is just my theory. It hasn't been proven. Clearly, it was brought up in Katie and Sigfredo, Katherine Magbanua's and Sigfredo Garcia's trial by the state. Challenged them to come up with how they were paying with their lawyers. And they had an in-camera meeting, meaning a secret, unrecorded meeting with the judge. And they offered some kind of proof that they weren't being paid by the Adelson family. But I don't think that was an exhaustive search, if you know what I mean. I don't think the family would be dumb enough to write them a check or something like that. So let's look first at this legal filing. And this was given to me by Murder by Maestro. Thank you, Murder by Maestro. He calls it Katie's lawyers are also Charlie's lawyers. That's what he calls it. So this is on page 9. In this case, the defendant, Magbanua, is charged with first-degree murder based upon her participation in a conspiracy to murder Dan Markel. Co-defendants Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera were hired to travel from Miami to Tallahassee to commit the murder. The evidence suggests that the murder was arranged by defendant Magbanua, who was romantically connected to both Garcia, her children's father, and the deceased's former brother-in-law, Charlie Adelson. Magbanua is the only known connection between the victim via the victim's former in-laws and the killers. Around the time of the murder, call records show that Magbanua was listed as one of Charlie Adelson's most frequent contacts. According to testifying co-defendant Luis Rivera, Magbanua enlisted Garcia, who then enlisted him, Rivera, to commit the murder for the benefit of the victim's ex-wife. Rivera indicates that all three co-defendants were compensated for their roles in the murder plot. Rivera identifies Magbanua as the person responsible for retrieving these payments. Since the homicide, Magbanua began receiving compensation from the Adelson Institute for Aesthetic and Implant Dentistry, which is Charlie Adelson's family dental practice. Although her cell phone data indicates she was never physically present at the dental office, she consistently received checks from the business signed by Donna Adelson, totaling more than $10,500. Magbanua's financial records also show numerous cash deposits over the time since the homicide, ranging in the amounts from $300 to $2,000 for each deposit, with some deposits being made on the same date. Between the time of the homicide and November of 2015, Magbanua, deposited more than $56,000 in cash into her bank accounts. Additionally, Magbanua's bank accounts reveal a significant increase in cash deposits after the homicide in July 2014. In 12 months leading up to the homicide, Magbanua made cash deposits which totaled approximately $17,000, with approximately $10,000 of that deposited in the 4 months immediately preceding the homicide. In the 12 months following the homicide, Magbanua made cash deposits which totaled approximately $44,000. So it gives you an idea, not counting the half a breast augmentation, that's what she says, that she got from Charlie Adelson, also the cruise that she went on with her mother, paid by Charlie Adelson, and probably other gifts along the way. So that'll give you an idea of what she was compensated. Is that worth it for life in prison? I don't think so. I wouldn't go for it, but okay. At the time of, none of them thought they were going to get arrested. And frankly, someone was listening to something recently. Someone made a good point that there are a lot of cold cases out there. A lot of people do get away with it, and get away with it for forever or for a long time. So I think statistically, it's something like 10% of cases are solved. These kind of murders are solved. I don't know if it's more now, if that's an old number. I would hope so. At the time of Garcia's arrest on May 25th, 2016, he was employed and received direct deposits from Rapid Funding Capital. There's an FBI tape. We can listen to it later if you're interested, where he's visited by the FBI at his work. And he's really rattled. You can hear him being really rattled. But again, he gives away nothing. The last deposit from that business occurred on June 10th, 2016, in the amount of $44.67. His bank account had $1,023.21 as of July 2016. Without gainful employment, he has no known source of income in which to pay for his or Magbanua's legal fees. Katherine Magbanua's bank accounts show small deposits from the Adelson Institute up until February 2016, and unidentified sources of cash deposits through November 2015. For the year 2015, these combined sources of income come to $35,799.30. The undersigned is still pursuing sufficient bank records to determine her 2016 income. However, since her arrest in October 2016, she would not have any sorts of gainful employment in which to pay for her legal fees. The state is not aware of any other property, accounts, or assets that these defendants could be using to finance their defenses. Often people say that her sister was embezzling money from her work, which eventually her sister went to prison, I believe, for that. But I would think that her family would have to pay that back. But despite having no apparent ability to pay for private attorneys, defendant Magbanua has hired, and that doesn't answer who's paying for Garcia's private attorney, has hired 2 private criminal defense attorneys. So once again, for those in the back, defendant Magbanua has hired 2 private criminal defense attorneys from South Florida. And defendant Garcia has also obtained private counsel from the South Florida area. These private attorneys have traveled up from South Florida during the pendency of the case, with Magbanua's attorneys staying in town an entire week during the most recent trip. According to defendant Magbanua's financial affidavit filed in Miami-Dade, case blah, 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 the only monthly income she had in June 2015 was $900 from the Adelson dentistry practice for clerical work she allegedly performed for them. I mean, that's not even going to pay for the rental car for her, or the plane tickets, maybe the plane tickets, and that's it for a week-long stay in Tallahassee. Her only listed assets were $20 cash on hand and $1,000 in banks and or credit unions. She also indicated on the same financial affidavit that her monthly costs were such that she was operating at a monthly deficit of $2,075. The Miami-Dade court ordered her children's father, Sigfredo Garcia, to pay the defendant retroactive child support totaling $20,880 with future monthly payments of $870. See attached Exhibit A. Sigfredo Garcia continues to be held without bond at the Leon County Jail pending the resolution of his case. He has recently filed a motion to be declared indignant for costs. The motion indicated that defendant Magbanua was responsible for paying defendant Garcia's attorney's fee until her own arrest in October 2016. And you'll hear that in the call, how his lawyer is coming to Katie and saying, I can't represent both of you. You have to get another lawyer. Additionally, at the time of defendant Magbanua's arrest on October 1st, 2016, she was allowed to make phone calls. She was allowed to make a phone call to her attorney, Tara Kawas, approximately 20 minutes after the defendant placed the call to Ms. Kawas. Investigator Craig Isom received a call from David Marcus, Charles Adelson's attorney, requesting to be notified if an arrest warrant was signed for his client. Investigator Isom followed up with Ms. Kawas, who was confirmed that she had called Mr. Marcus and notified him of this defendant's arrest. So this is interesting, right? Was there an agreement that if Katie gets arrested to call Charlie because he might think he might be next? She called her attorney and then he hears from Charlie's attorney. So right after she was arrested and she urinated on herself, she was so frightened when she got arrested. Isom allows her to make a phone call. She calls Tara Kawas, and the next thing he knows, he's leaving right as he's leaving, he gets a phone call from David Marcus, Charlie Adelson's attorney. Requesting to be notified if Charlie Adelson's arrested. The court, okay, so anyway, so Fancy Fiction did a really good, and the links to this are in the description of this episode if you want to take a look at them, either her video or her tweet here. So Tara Kawas says, good evening. As you know, this is Catherine's attorney, Tara Kawas. Let the text memorialize. So this is a text that she's sending to Craig Isom, that she invokes her right to remain silent and to counsel. No one is to meet with her without me being present. She has been counseled on this issue. She will request the same and will say nothing else. I also counseled her on spontaneous statements, so that won't be happening either. Thank you for your understanding here and letting her call me. There was no need to arrest her, though, as she would have surrendered had you asked. Based on her past behavior and lack of cooperation, we could not, this is Isom, we could not take the chance on her taking flight and endangering others. We showed you and your client tremendous respect and went out of our way to allow her to call you for her children's benefit. We believe you did your client the disservice of ruining any opportunity she had left to proactively cooperate by notifying Charlie Adelson's attorney of her arrest. Are you working with Mr. Marcus on a combined strategy wherein you have some obligation to inform him of your client's actions? Seems like it. Isom is just zeroing in and nailing her. Detective, my obligations are to Katie and to Katie only, by doing a complete disservice to her and telling her to keep quiet. And seems very connected to Charlie's attorney. And who does it benefit most for Katie to stay silent? Not Katie, Charlie Adelson and the Adelson family. And it seems like she's still not telling everything she knows. We weren't the ones who leaked it to the media. The whole world found out about the arrest from the leak within a few hours of the arrest. Why would that story be leaked so quickly? So this is like something that guilty people do, I notice. So he's calling her out on her connections with Charlie, Adelson's attorney, and doing what's best for the Adelson family. And immediately she's turning it around and saying, well, you leaked it to the press, as if they're equally abhorrent. Why would you do that? Why would that story be leaked so quickly if you were interested in cooperation? And as for danger, etc., we all know that she poses no danger or risk. What you've done here was done for the media. Please let me know when you can send me whatever it is that gives a breakdown of the probable causes for arrest. Did for the media. And a defense attorneys bask in the media, manipulate the media, are most known. And she's accusing Craig Isom of using the media. Sure, they leaked it, but hardly at the same level, and for totally different benefit. So I'm going to take a quick break. When I get back, we're going to go over the undercover call between Katie Magbanua and Jim Lewis, Sigfredo Garcia's first attorney. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
We don't take a break. Grab a snack or maybe a glass of wine. Roberta will be back in no time. This podcast is listener supported, so smash that like button and subscribe or become a patron for exclusive content if you are so inclined. Have something to say? Shoot Roberta a super chat. She will do her best to read it all air without delay. Now Roberta's back and ready to put the true back in true crime. Here's Roberta.
Okay. So here we go. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about Katie Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia and their silence, and if it was bought by Adelson family money. Of course, Jim Lewis is now on the witness list, so this is becoming more relevant. I believe Tara Kawas is too. Am I wrong about that? I believe I saw her name on the witness list. So maybe some of this will be some of these payments. It'd be curious. The woman who tracks the money, that's going to be stipulated to, meaning she's not going to testify. Both parties are going to stipulate to how the money was. I think she's a forensic accountant. I don't know exactly her. So check this out. This is from Fancy Fiction. If you want to listen to the entire, she actually has more phone calls. I just pulled the first one for your listening pleasure. Take a listen.
Again, this is the new witness. This is James Stewart Lewis.
Hello.
Hello?
Get off the phone. Yes. What's up?
I'm sorry. No, she said I wanted to get the information, and then you
Okay.
got off the phone with my brother, right?
Yes. Talk to your brother because I'll make sure it was okay to put him names on all that. Okay.
Yeah. No, because
right.
he was telling me like be prepared.
Yes.
Especially-
You need to.
okay.
Look, we need to be prepared. Nobody's saying you're going to get arrested, but we need to be prepared in case you do.
I know,
Okay.
'cause he's
I know
really
you don't want to hear
prepared,
that. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's my job to make sure that we're covered under any circumstance. All right. You
Okay.
ready?
All right, go ahead.
Password is Thunder 305.
That sounds like she has access to the financial. something financial also to get his property. She's holding it all together and sounds extremely nervous.
That's what I figured.
And the pay code ATM number is 1444.
Yeah. And then, were you able to get what is his sign in though? What is that? I don't know the email.
You didn't give me that. Well, I'm going back to see him here because I got to take him these powers of attorneys. Okay. So what is it? You're looking for the sign-in email?
Yeah, like I don't know which email he used. Like, what is his sign-in?
Right,
I know
which
the
email?
password. Yeah, which email is it for his card? And then also you're gonna be able to grab the customer when I see you today. I think I'll be able to see you earlier.
Okay, well, I don't know that I'm going to be able to see you earlier.
No, like 3.
I don't know if I'll be out of court for sure. You better say 4 to be safe, otherwise you'll be sitting here waiting. Okay, I'm not going to tell you to come and sit while I'm over here in court. I got hearings that start at 1:30, but it's a restraining order, and God knows how long before I get out of there.
Okay, so 4 o'clock.
All right, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, so the sign-in email, I told him to go ahead and voucher out his property to you. Okay. So he's in the process of doing that now. So whatever his card and stuff, I guess you'll get that when he vouchers it out to you. But typically that takes 2 to 3 days.
2 to 3 days. Okay.
Yep. So
vouchers.
Okay.
That's.
She sounds like she's not listening at all. All that I hear is her heart racing, and over and over again saying, "Are you going to protect me? Am I going to get arrested next? When are they coming for me?" That's all I hear from her. That's the underlying theme of this conversation.
2 to 3 days for me to get his property, right?
Right.
And then where do I pick that up?
At the jail.
Courthouse?
At the jail.
Okay. How would I know if there's like a warrant for me? I wouldn't know till.
There's not. Okay. I no. Actually, the person I was speaking to on the phone, he's still up in Tallahassee. Is Mr. Isom is still up there. Okay.
Okay.
So he is still up there, and I'm giving him the name because I want these people not calling me about you anymore. I'm giving him the name of this other lawyer to talk to because I don't want to talk to them anymore about you. Okay.
Oh, you don't want to talk about me anymore?
With them, with the cops. It's a conflict. That's why I say I need you to have this other lawyer. Okay. I don't want to put myself in a problem here.
Oh, okay.
He's like, get yourself a new lawyer, and I'm going to give you the name of a lawyer that she ultimately didn't go with. Who gave her the name? Who gave her Tara's name? Who do you think?
Okay. And that's the name that you gave me, right?
That's his name that you're going to meet with at 4 o'clock, Tom Morse.
What's his name again? I'm sorry, Tom?
Tom Morse, Morse. Remember I gave you his name and his phone number, okay?
Okay. Can you give me his phone number over the phone, or is that
of course.
Okay, go ahead.
Of course I can do it. Ready? 954 536 4688.
Okay. And also remember when we had discussed about would you try everybody that was texting to him?
Mention what?
When remember the person that you had that somebody texted me?
Yes.
Can you please mention that? Mention that to him, yeah.
To who? To Tom?
To
Tom?
No.
Oh no. Oh, he knows that. I told him.
Oh, he knows it. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knows that.
No, he told him, and he not crazy about it, but I told him how we handled it. That was the best way. I can't have you talking to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He does know that. I'm ignoring everybody because I don't.
No. I've told him that you have to ignore everybody. You can't be talking because we don't know who's recorded and working with the police. Okay. And we explained that to Jessica, and
Right. So here she's in a paranoid world, very much like the Adelson's paranoid world. Ever since the bump, they don't know who could be talking, what could be recorded, like this call was recorded. Keep quiet. Keep your mouth shut. I mean, when Sigfredo was visited by the FBI, we can play that in a second. He wouldn't even give a phone number. He wouldn't say anything, admit to anything. Maybe not even his name is Sigfredo Garcia. I think he does admit to that, but that's about it.
explained. I told him I talked to her personally about that. You know, he's worried that they're going to think that you're doing something, and
Exactly.
all we can do is tell them that you're not, and that, you know, I can't have you talking to people. Okay.
All right. And then would you be able to find out if somebody, because I remember now, like, I'm scared about, like, my family safety.
Am I going to be able to find out what?
I don't even know what I just said. Like, I'm saying, like, are you going to be able to find out? Like, are you going to, like, keep speaking to her? Or that was it?
I don't really plan on it unless she calls me. I gave her my
no.
number. I don't think there's any.
Right? Doesn't this just turn your stomach? So, Amuendo says Jim Lewis has corrupt public official vibes. He ran for office. He just has that thing about that defense lawyer thing. And I know that defense lawyers are necessary. Everyone deserves one, but it just, the sleazy vibe. He knows he's protecting a conspirator in a murder case. I get it. I get that that's their job, but it just reeks of sleaze.
Good. I don't think there's any good to come out of that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
It's like, you know, my brother's just, like, worried about now, like, about everybody else's safety.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll do these powers of attorneys. I'll go in and ask them for a sign-in email for the account. I'll ask them for that. We don't know when the Leon County Sheriff is coming to get him, but it could be as early as this afternoon. Okay.
Also, they're picking him up. It might be today.
It might be today. Exactly. I don't know. They won't tell us for security reasons. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on one second, Jim. Okay, so I'll talk with you, and then I'll meet with him. And if I'm able to find out and everything, what's better, take out the money or transfer it to my account?
If you're able to do what now?
To when I get into his account, do I just take out the money?
I would take out the money and keep it with you. Yeah. Give it to a family member is the smartest thing. Okay.
Okay. And what about mine? How about my bank account?
I don't think you have to worry about that at this point. I mean, you have large amounts in there that.
No.
Okay.
Right. So if they were going to take any of Sigfredo's money, just take it out now before they can get it as, you know, take it from him. And she's like, well, what about my bank account? He's like, I think your bank account's going to be okay. She's still asking for legal advice as he's breaking up with her. She's still holding on.
You know, if it was large amounts, I might say you might put it in family, you know, where family can get access to it. Either put them as joint, put them as a joint.
Right. Who just said it would be a $500 phone call? I just saw that out of the corner of my eye. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the same thing. This would be pretty pricey. He's billing her for this. There's a little bit of legal advice.
Holder or something where somebody needs to get access to it, they can do it for you.
Okay. All right. I'll prepare all
Okay.
that. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
But there it is. Okay. So that's one of the calls, but they go on like that. And we can't have you talking. We can't have you talking. I mean, that is just the theme of the advice that Katie Magbanua was being given. Can't have you be talking. Keep your mouth shut. Protect the Adelson family. So, other thing I wanted to show you. Hold on one second. And this is from Deep Dive True Crime. This is Sigfredo. So very similar. This is when the FBI visit him at work. You get a sense of the way that went down. So certainly, I'm just very curious if this question is going to be answered in Donna's trial. Who was paying for Sigfredo and Katie's lawyer? And you would think that would be something Jim Lewis would be mean, how else would he be connected to Donna? But you never know. All your questions, as I've said before, aren't answered in these trials. But that is what I'm most curious about. And if it came through her sister through illegal means, is her sister paying off her legal bills when she gets out? Is that part of her restitution? I don't know. Would that be considered part of it? Was that part of what she was stealing? Does anyone know the timeline on that?
Mistakes they made, the Tallahassee Police Department, working together with the FBI, were hot in their trail.
So here in this video, you get to see when Tuto first finds out that the FBI is after him for the hit on Dan Markel. Here we go.
Luis Rivera, something like that. We got some information about something that happened a couple of years ago, and your name popped up in it. We're just trying to. Okay. All right. This happened up in North Florida, up in the northern end of Florida. Up there. You ever been to Tallahassee, Florida? No, I have not. No, never. Okay. Do you know of Luis Rivera or Luis Rivera, something like that?
Like I said, I know several.
Okay.
But at the same time.
Oh, excuse us. Sorry about that. Okay. Is there one that you're friends with or anything? You hang out with or
anything? You would be like a little more specific as to what it is that
he's kind of short guy.
Asking for, or why I might know him, or if I feel like it's I even say I know him, because from what my prior experience, I'm sure you know my name. You know exactly where to go.
Right. He had an extensive, from a juvenile on, extensive record. From making drugs to breaking and entering to fighting. I mean, he had an extensive record. I read it the other day. So he was familiar with this process from a juvenile on. But I don't think he did any big stretches, as I remember. That was what was, am I right about that? Thought he did 6 months once.
Yeah, we want to look right. Oh, you got a nice job and stuff. That's why we wanted family. And we found out you had kids. I didn't want to do this in front of your kids. You know what I mean? It's bad enough doing it at your work, but I don't know where else to find you. It's either at home or at work. It's only two places know to come talk to you about. So I'm saying I don't want to freak your kids out and stuff.
Right. Could you say what this is in reference to? Sure, I know this short guy, but it wasn't when we were, say, taking a trip, doing something that begins with an M, ends with an R. Is there any sort of hint? Can we play charades? 20 questions here. What this is about? He knows what they're visiting him about.
Okay. All right.
So why should I know or should I not know Luis Rivera?
Okay.
That's what I need to know.
Well, there's some information about some things that happened up north, and and your name was thrown out there. Some information just came to light recently that you and Mr. Rivera might have been had something to do with it up north. Do you know Dan Markel? Do you know who Dan Markel is?
Doesn't sound like anybody.
Doesn't sound like anybody now. Okay. So you've never been in North Florida either. As far as taking trips up north or anything, have you?
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. Never been up that way. Okay. Who do you live with right now? You live with somebody?
I live with my wife.
You're married. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's her name?
Why? That's I'm not gonna really.
You mean, and your name came up in an investigation, obviously, and that's what we're trying to.
My wife's name is Wife. Did you guys catch that? And he won't give her phone number either. Rabbit Inc. is saying Katie's lawyers might have never created a line item billing. There are other ways to be compensated. Never admit it. And if pressed, have contingency contract. Remember, Chris DeCoste, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name as badly as I'm mispronouncing Tara K. Wass's name, was also her lawyer. She had two lawyers at the table there. So they don't come cheap. And I thought he was the best of the defense lawyers. DeCoste.
Get your side of the story to find out if there's any validity to it.
Is it DeCoste? DeCoste? Yeah, it has to be DeCoste. There's no A. DeCoste. He was excellent. I thought he was the best. I thought his cross of Wendy was fantastic. Seems like he could sell ice to the Eskimos, but you can't get over. I mean, they're not miracle workers, these lawyers. You can't get over these kind of facts. And Katie was a horrible witness, and he disagreed. You can see I've gone over it. When the decision is made for Katie to testify, he put it seems like it was made at the last minute, and with Tara just shoving Katie sort of up to the witness stand, and Chris DeCoste getting really angry and pushing himself back in his chair and asking to take breaks and arguing. I mean, that's my memory of it. Just really not down with that. And he was right. She should have never testified.
But if there's a need.
You know, I was just a juror on a criminal trial, and there were bad facts all around, but that was really the cementing. It was 11-1 guilty when the first vote. So that'll give you an idea. And had the defendant, he was the only witness. Had they just not put on a case, it would have been so much better.
Reason about it.
Same thing here with Katie. Sorry.
Your wife works out, and your wife works, reason about it. Your wife works out, and your wife works obviously somewhere and makes money herself. So, what kind of car does she drive? I'm trying to get you to talk to me about some stuff, and I can't tell you what our business.
No for the car. My wife's name is Wife, and I'm not going to tell you what car she drives, what her phone number is, nothing. Nothing.
Is totally about right. I can't
go into it. That's like a one-sided kind of.
I know it is.
Not really fair.
I mean, okay, your name came out like I told you. Gotcha. Yeah, now you look like you're doing well for yourself.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know. Right now, it's kind of, that I get badged with an FBI. It's like, wow, this is not something I'm accustomed to. So obviously, I'm on defense, and I don't think I should say anything more than I want to say.
Okay.
But I mean, if I could help, obviously I'd be more than happy to.
Okay.
If I could help, if I hadn't committed this murder, I'd be more than happy to help. But since I did commit the murder, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I mean, this is some street level hypnosis going on here by Sigfredo. I mean, I'm really more than happy to help. I'm really like an open book. Just, I don't know, of the FBI, I'm just sort of cautious when it comes to the FBI. I don't want to falsely convict myself by talking to you.
I definitely don't want people coming over here to my job. Because obviously right now that's stirred up. Because when I got this job, I'm not the greatest person to have a job in financing.
Sure.
So right now,
I'm not the greatest job to have a job in. I'm not the greatest to have a job in financing. Maybe we gotta hear that again. We gotta go back.
People coming over here to my job. Because obviously right now that's stirred up. Because when I got this job, I'm not the greatest person to have a job in financing.
Sure.
So
I'm not the greatest person to have a job in financing. No kidding. With a huge record. How did he get this job? So curious. Does anyone know?
Now, what you practically did was just like take.
You go back in and tell her you're a witness in a case. You go back and tell her you can tell her that stuff.
Then they're gonna think, are they in litigation? Are they going to court? Are they getting audited? Is it something that I'm doing against my company now? It's like pretty much you just like shaded part of my French all over a little bit of character.
Well, we're trying not to. That's why we try to just whisper to you and then you come out.
I appreciate at least the
we attempted to go the way that or your kids. We thought this would be the better.
The discreetness, but a phone call maybe, or I don't know you.
Oh, we didn't know your number either. What's your phone number? Your cell phone number?
Once again,
can I get that either?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to, but it's just I feel like I should be a little bit defensive now because you guys showed up to my job.
I hear you.
A little upset.
Right. It's not any of my actions why I feel defensive. This is what I mean with street level stuff, putting it on the other person. It's just the way that you came into my job. If the FBI came to my home and called up and say brought snacks and tea, I'd feel much more comfortable and I'd divulge everything. But the fact that you just came to my job, it's the fact that you just came to my job and ambushed me. This guy isn't talking no matter what. I mean, this is like, that's what I mean when I say it's like some street level hypnosis. Some street level kind of games he's playing here. Always put it on the other person. It's their behavior that's making you do this, not your own behavior.
That had to happen.
I hear you. We got a job to do. We got
I respect that. I respect that. I'm talking to me, so it's like, and then recently, it just doesn't feel right now. I don't know. I mean, you guys seem very welcoming and nice and everything.
Now he's a psychic. The vibes aren't right. Doesn't feel right. Did you hear that? Doesn't feel right. The vibes aren't right. This really should be played. If you want to know how lines are put on you. Ridiculous lines. But guilty people. This is Exhibit A.
And you do. You very do.
We didn't come in here.
Yeah, I know.
Doors in to go. Like I told you.
Trying to beat me up, dragging me out of my job.
Like I said, it's totally voluntary. You're not under arrest. Yeah, no, we're here just talking to you and stuff, and we're just trying to find out. We got some information, and we're trying to find out if that information is accurate at all without ruining your life here.
I travel to Orlando. I go to Disney.
Okay.
I go to LA. I've gone to Dominican Republic, my family, stuff like that.
Okay. All right.
So he's going to the Dominican Republic and to Disney with his family. And he owes Katie how much? How much did he owe Katie? Hold on, let me look. It was something crazy. $20,000, $20,880 he owes Katie, and he's traveling all around. Where do you think he got that money to go to Disney and the Dominican Republic and all that stuff? Probably from the murder, right? He got some toys. He got a motorcycle, trip to Disney, and a trip to state prison for the rest of his life. What a deal.
All right, Mr. Rivera is a little short. Short Hispanic, I think he's got some tattoos and stuff. I mean, you know a lot of guys you hang out with. I mean, there's a lot of them like that. This one got locked up in jail. He's in prison right now.
Okay, that's, my name is very different.
It is. It is very specific. There's not a whole lot of people with your name out there.
So
that's how we ever find you so easy, because somebody gave up your name. Somebody gave up your name.
Okay.
Do you have a nickname? Is your nickname Tudo?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you know Rivera as Tato?
I know
Tato.
I know a Tato, yeah. My uncle's Tato too, though. So.
Okay, but do you know a Luis Rivera or Luis Rivera as Tato also? Okay.
Luis Rivera, yeah. Okay. I know several Luis Riveras.
Okay.
Let's just keep it like that, because I don't understand where you're going with this.
Okay, well, I want to find out who this guy is and find out exactly what his deal is. If you're tight with him or not, if you've been with him a lot, you used to hang with him.
Yeah, no, I haven't been with nobody a lot. I'm always with my wife, my kids.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
I'm like daddy of the year, actually.
Awesome.
I even babysit.
How old are your kids?
9 and 4.
Oh, awesome. That's a good age, man.
Yeah, boy and girl.
And how old are they now? This is back in 2015, 16? 9 and 4. Someone do the math. How old they be now? Sad.
They all got one of each. Awesome.
Yeah.
Having those ages, man, is pretty cool. They're out of that diaper stage, but they can still do their own stuff now.
She already sleeps without diapers. So.
No, that's awesome, man. Sleep through the night now and don't have to worry about it.
We always sleep through the night. So.
Oh, okay.
So what can I do to obviously we have to. There's some issues.
So she's a teenager. So he's got a teenage daughter. Kitty's got a teenage daughter.
That you want to speak to me about. I feel like I shouldn't speak any more than I have to, because for some reason I don't want to be collateral damage or even something to something that.
Thank you. Debbie Gibby, 14 and 19. Wow. So if you're just tuning in, please hit the like, subscribe if you're so inclined. Helps out the channel. We're listening to Sigfredo Garcia's talk with the FBI who visited him at work, where he's working in a financial institution. According to Sigfredo Garcia, he wasn't the best person to be working in finance. Certainly curious job for someone with a long rap sheet. But he had a $20,000 bill to pay, $20,000 plus bill to pay to Katherine Magbanua, who had brought him to court for back payment on child support.
I have nothing to do with.
Right, if you had nothing to do with it, that's what you need to clear your name with. And
But still, for me to clear my name on something I don't know anything about.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. We got a bunch of stuff at the office that I can sit down. If you wanted to go to the office, we sit down and I can go over some stuff, some documents and stuff like that, and find out if you know anything about all this stuff. So you'd have to be willing to come down to the office with all that.
I would go as an attorney, obviously. I don't know. That just sounds wrong.
Okay.
Just it's like you have a whole bunch of stuff on people that just saying that came and said
You might be able to help us out. You might be able to point us out and say, yeah, I know this person. They were doing this. They were doing that.
Yeah, I wish
you know,
I
be able to
could,
point some things out.
but I'm not really that guy. I'm not.
Why are the subtitles so off? It's so odd. They're like 4 minutes behind. It's strange, right? He's like, yeah. I'm not going to go down to your office. I don't want to get involved in something I know nothing about. I may know nothing about it. I just did it. And I'm not going to tell you about it.
Oh, sorry. We're just talking. Thanks. You know what? It really helped clear some stuff up, man.
I have my attorney call you guys.
Who's your attorney?
I don't know yet, but I'm going to call.
Oh, okay. You don't have one already? Okay. I mean, if you didn't do anything wrong, man, you don't have anything. Well, I hear you, man. I hear you. I hate to leave this hanging like this, though, man.
I know, man. I hate it too, bro. You're telling me I gotta do my job.
I know.
It's not hanging right now. When I walk back in there, the array of questions is going to be ridiculous, right?
Tell them everyone. That's why we won't talk in front of them. We're not going to put you out there like that.
To my desk. That's why my manager started.
Right. This is the same kind of thing that Tara Kawas did with Isom. I may have had connections to Charlie Adelson's lawyer. I may be working with the conspirator or conspirators in an unethical way as a lawyer with the conspirator's lawyer to keep everyone silent, but you leaked it to the media. Here is, I may have done a murder, but you approached me at work. Now everyone's going to be talking. I mean, I may have committed a murder, but did you guys realize that the FBI came to my work to ask me questions about it? I mean, talk about immoral, right?
Eating breakfast. My supervisor comes up and she does it because nobody's allowed inside the financial office because we have people's personal information and then we're PCI compliant. We're accredited. We can't have.
So I have walk-in people come in and talk to you. It's all off the phone.
Yeah. So when you guys came in, obviously, and looked at me and said, "We need to talk to you." She said, "This is not allowed."
I got you.
So
I got you. Well, that's our mistake. We didn't realize what the hell set up in there. I want to call your manager and say, hey, with the FBI, we need to talk to, we need to talk to you. We're trying to get around her so she doesn't, she doesn't let us screw your job up.
Getting around her.
I can tell.
She does her due diligence.
I can tell. That's why I wanted you to step outside so I can show you my credit and not show it to her.
Yeah, but it could have been this.
All right. So I think you guys get the idea. It goes on like that. It gets nowhere. I'm not going to, it goes on and on. I'm not going to get involved in something. I mean, it's just so pathetic. Dean Walker, nice to see you. Is it Air Dry's birthday? Happy birthday. So I'm going to end the way I end so many shows with a victim impact letter. This was coincidentally written for Sigfredo Garcia and Katherine Magbanua's first trial. Sigfredo's only trial. Dear Judge Hankinson, I met Dan Markel, then Danny, and his sister Shelley Markel at sleepover camp in the summer of 1982 when Dan was 9 and I was 12 years old. Shelley was in my camp cabin and Dan was in my brother's cabin, and we all became friends. As we got to know each other, we learned that both of our families owned cottages in the same community north of Toronto. And when the summer came to an end, we decided to introduce our parents, who also became fast friends. For the last 37 years, the Markels and my clan have been close family friends. We ski together, bike together, spend weekends, Thanksgiving, and vacation time together. I have many memories of sitting around playing games with Danny. He was especially amazing player of Trivial Pursuit. Ruth and Phil were so proud of their son when he got admitted to Harvard and continued on there to get his law degree. He had left our town, but not our hearts. We regularly heard about Danny's latest successes and saw him and met Wendy on some of his visits home. When we heard the news that Dan had been shot and killed, it seemed surreal. And to tell you the truth, it still does. That this loving father, son, brother, and friend, pillar of the legal and Jewish communities, has been extinguished from the world is grievous and incomprehensible. I personally miss his smile, wit, and positive energy, but that is nothing compared to what his family has gone through. Shelley is one of my closest friends in the world, and Ruth and Phil are good friends of mine too. Phil is one of my father's best friends, and Ruth's the same for my mother. Needless to say, it has been difficult to witness their anguish, as well as to walk with them through the 5-year journey of having no leads in Dan's murder case. Then arrests, then delay after delay of the trial. Not only have they had to deal with the heart-wrenching absence of Dan from their family, they simultaneously have had no choice but to spend their time dealing with lawyers, the DA's office, estate matters, and the media. Perhaps one of the most agonizing aspects of the Markels' life after Dan's murder is that access to Dan's children has been severely limited or blocked entirely. Lincoln and Ben are loved and cherished by their grandparents, aunt and uncle, and cousins, but the kids may not even remember these close relatives at this point. Imagine the pain of the Markels to learn that the last name of Dan's children was changed and that one of their middle names, given in honor of one of Dan's family members, was removed, seemingly in an effort to wipe out any trace of Dan in his son's lives. Losing not just a son, but in effect 2 grandchildren as well, is a heavy burden to bear. But the Markels are very troubled by this. My husband and I have had many conversations with Shelley and her parents, and this constantly weighs on their state of mind. While guilty verdicts and appropriate sentencing will go some way in justice being rendered, this will never fill the void in the lives of the Markels, which they face every single day. I hope in time that full justice will be delivered to help ease some of their pain. Yours truly, Bailey Daniels, Toronto, Canada. that's what I have for today. Thanks for listening. Please hit the like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this episode, and I'll see you back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night, everybody.